Welcome back to the off-grid water tower build. This is the fourth and final installment of this series. Today we're going to be getting the delivery pipe installed, an air and overflow on the tanks, and also get the ram pump going strong. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good tests and wrap up this series. Let's get started. This barb fitting right here is the output that will be going down to the garden. So I'm going to be using a hose clamp and this 3/4 inch poly pipe. Yeah, that should do it. And this will hopefully give me plenty of water down there at the garden using this 3/4 inch pipe. Now in the previous video, I filled up both of these tanks, and so they are at the very top up here, and water was just flowing out and pouring down into all of my wooden structure. So in order to get the vent installed, I'm going to let out probably a good 6 inches of this water. So I'll go ahead and turn on the valve down here. There we go. You can definitely hear the top up here pulling air in. So listening to the sound here, so full, so right about there is where it's empty. So I have plenty of room now to get up top so I can drill a hole for the overflow. Now on the back side of the middle barrel is where I want to put my overflow, right up here towards the top. I've got a 1 1/4 hole saw. And hopefully this piece does not fall into the tank, because that would be sad. Good, it did not fall in. Now I'm just using this 1/2 inch unisil. I'm going to get this hopefully pushed in here. Yeah, there we go. And then I've got this piece here. There we go. Very nice. And now I'm just going to insert this 1/2 inch poly pipe onto this barb. That should be enough right there. So whenever the tanks fill to this point right here, it will overflow out of this and just go over here into the woods away from the tower. Now, if this is pumping at, let's say, a 1/2 gallon a minute or even a 1/4 gallon a minute, when the water comes out here, it'll never reach down there in the yard before it soaks up, because that's not a whole lot of water flow. Now a question was asked, why did I decide to fill the tanks from the bottom? And my main response is that I like the idea of having the controls right here on the lower side and not up top where they're hard to get to. But this does pose one problem, and that is if for some reason the inline valve of the ram pump gets held open by a stick or a leaf or something, the entirety of the tanks will drain back down this line. And so, to prevent that from happening, I'm going to use this valve here. It's a non-return valve, and that should allow me to keep the water in the tanks, even if the ram pump fails. Figured I would add a union to this thing too, make it easier to do service on later on, if I ever need to. The ram pump was going strong, and I turned off the ball valve on the tanks, and the pressure was built up so strong that it blew this joint here. So what I want to do now is put some hose clamps on here to keep this from having any more issues. I hope to use a garden hose to the garden from the black pipe here. And so what I'm going to do is insert this pipe barb with an adapter to garden hose on the other side. And then I'm going to use, of course, a hose clamp to keep this from moving around. I may come back later with another 50 foot or so of this pipe so that I can get really close to the garden and then have the garden hose after that. A long time ago I had the idea to use a bucket as an intake, and this works really well. The problem is I'm pulling from the flume and it gets all kinds of silt and debris in here, and it eventually stops up the pump. Also, it's open up to air, and so I'm also going to fix that by putting a lid on it. So first of all, what I want to do is pull the drain plug down here and drain the bucket from all the silt and sediment. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just sucking in all kinds of junk from the flume right now. And now I'm going to use a cap and cap off the flume intake here. Just getting all this thing cleaned out. Okay, now that that's clean, I'm going to be putting this lid on here. Not tight, just enough to keep out falling leaves and stuff like that. Should be good enough. And now I've got this piece, which will go to a 1-inch hose here, or a 1-inch pipe, and that will be the new intake of this bucket. Now with the lid on here, I'm going to use this 90-degree barb fitting for a 1-inch pipe, and that's going to be in the bucket here as the new source. There we go. That ought to do it. And now let's go up creek and fix the other end. I have a screened intake. It's basically a 3-inch pipe with caps on the ends and a big window cut in here with screen over it. And then a pipe inside with a bunch of holes that will allow water in. And then it's got this pipe that comes out. So water comes in here, fills up the pipe, and then goes on down to that bucket. So let's see if we can get it to work here. See if I can get this to work right here in the creek. I made sure that this point right here was at the lowest point, and so that pipe is able to just pull in water and send it down this supply line. Let's go check out the bucket and see how it's doing. The flow rate here at the bucket isn't quite as strong as I was expecting, and I believe the cause is that this height right here is about just an inch or two below where the intake is, but it is definitely filling this up. Let's see how far up it is. Oh, there it goes. It's actually just starting to overflow now. So let's go down to the ram pump and see if that's going to be enough of a flow rate to get this going. Okay, down here at the ram pump, I'm going to see if I can't hold the valve open a bit to get some of the debris out of here. See how dirty that water is? So I'm hoping to find overflow from the bucket while the pump is still going. Nice. It seems like it's keeping up quite well. That's definitely a lot of excess water. So I think we should be good. The barrels are full, and as you can see, there is no overflow off the top, and that's because it is coming out of the 1/2-inch pipe that we've installed. Now the low point is right there, so it's running back down the pipe. What I want to do is turn this over here so that it doesn't go back towards the tanks. So maybe something like that. That's a pretty good flow rate, I think. Here's the moment of truth. Do the tanks work? Oh yeah, that's great. Ooh. Let's go with jet. Have to see what the full pressure is whenever it purges all the air out. But so far, that's pretty good. Yeah, not bad at all. Don't mind me, I'm just off-grid watering my blueberries here. Well, that is super exciting. I have been planning this project for about 2 years to have creek water from ram pump feed tanks on the hill to go back down to the garden. And I have to say, I am very happy that it's finally here. Now I can just walk down to the garden and start watering my plants. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up and share button. I definitely will be using this a lot in future videos, so I'm sure you will be seeing it again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.